everyone, good morning. Good morning from Houston Intercontinental Airport. I'm currently on the Skyway heading up to Terminal E because my next connecting flight is going to be going out for Denver. I'm going to be flying up to Denver today on the United 767-300ER, and I'll be doing it in Economy Plus. I was able to get a free upgrade to Economy Plus, so I'm currently on the Skyway. I'm going to be heading up to Terminal E. First off, I'm going to go get some breakfast, and then after breakfast, I'm going to head out to my gate E5 for my flight to Denver. Alright, so my connecting flight landed in Houston, from Orlando. I came in from Orlando, and I landed in Terminal E. I was trying to find some way to get some breakfast, so we're currently at Terminal C. Once we get up to D, I'm going to exit and then take the walkway up to E. Okay, so I'm currently in the stop between D and C. Take a look at the status board, and my flight is going to be UA 1515 at 10:40 a.m. Be flying out of gate E5 as I mentioned. It's going to be on a 767-300ER. This is one of the Polaris interiors. It's not the high J one, but it's the interior with 10 rows. The high J has 18 rows. But I'm taking the 10 row 767, but I'm going to do it in the Economy Plus, so it's not going to make much of a difference. So boarding is going to start in about 15 minutes. And like literally there was no like vacant breakfast area at this time. It was pretty ridiculous. Like it's either they were crowded or like they were closed. So I wasn't really a fan of the options. At the end I just got something from Auntie Anne's. Okay, so I wanted to mention a few things that I missed like when I was doing the first impressions. So first of all, I got an Economy Plus upgrade for free as a basic economy passenger, which is pretty ironic considering that basic economy passengers aren't eligible for complimentary upgrades. And I had 2 hours in Houston, so I spent that time trying to find something to eat and joyriding the Skyway train, which is the train in Houston. But my inbound flight arrived at gate E4 and my connecting flight is in gate E5. So this is our aircraft taking us to Denver, Boeing 767-322ER, November 641 UA. It's 30.3 years old. It was delivered to United in March 1991. And it's been with United its entire life. So it has a serial number of 25091 and a line number of 360. And it just came in from San Francisco, so it's going to be heading out to Denver next. Woo! And time for some fun in Economy Plus, shall we? Alright, so as a basic economy passenger, all passengers, regardless of an upgrade to Economy Plus or a preferred seat or anything, they will regardless be in Group 5. Just because you got a free upgrade doesn't mean you go to Group 3 or 2 or 4, I don't know exactly, but just because you got an upgrade does not mean you get to upgrade the group.
over their nose and mouth for the duration of the flight, with the exception of children younger than 2. You may briefly remove your mask while eating or drinking, but please make sure to promptly replace it when you're finished. Vented face masks are not allowed. Additionally, A mask must be worn with face shields. Please ring your flight attendant call button if you need a mask. Are you 33 AO?
I'm 32. Earbuds, anybody? 32.
Fasten your seatbelt, then secure the shoulder strap by placing the metal fitting over the lock and pulling on the strap until it clips. The shoulder strap must be secured for taxi, takeoff, and landing. To release, push down on the metal fitting and lift.
Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes after takeoff, and now let's review the Economy Plus experience with United. So, all 46 seats in Economy Plus, they have a range of 34 to 43 inches of seat pitch with 18.5 inches of width, which, by the way, is the same width that you find in the regular economy class section as well. So, as far as the legroom goes, the legroom was pretty good. The bulkhead did feel pretty restrictive, but the aisle was there, so I was able to stretch out in the aisle. So I had no problems with the legroom, but I would recommend picking a seat other than 16. So anything between 17 through 22, I would pick. So that's legroom is still good in 16, but I would still recommend the others for even more space. Okay, so since this is a bulkhead row, the tray table is located in the armrest. So You just have to open the armrest cap and then lift up the table. It's still decent size, even though it's in the armrest, and it also adjusts away from you or toward you. And the things that were in the literature pocket were the normal things like the safety card, sick bag, and then the new edition of the Hemispheres magazine. And this was found on all of my flights throughout this trip. So as we go through it, I'm going to be giving an in-depth look of the Hemispheres magazine because it's a newer addition to the seat back literature. And then next you have the seat pocket, which is just the literature and a metal bar. I didn't really like this because it didn't stretch out. I would have wished that United found some way to bring like the stretchable seat pockets so passengers can put their belongings on there. And then the in-flight entertainment screen was embedded into the bulkhead row, which is also something I didn't like. I just wish they would have been like in the armrest or something so it would be adjusted. That's just my personal opinion, but some people would like it preferred this way, but I don't really like that. But nonetheless, they are there, and that's good. And with bulkhead rows, you aren't allowed to put any personal storage. There won't be any personal storage space, so it has to go into the overhead bins, which is a disadvantage compared to the regular seats. So that's something you might want to take into account when you're booking on Economy Plus and considering row 16. Alright, so moments after I reviewed the seat back, the flight attendants came around with the snack bags. One thing I like about these Economy Plus seats is that you get served first. Well, in economy class, you will have to wait. They do it from front to back usually. So the things that were in the snack bag, some water, choice of your drink, and then there was also some Biscoff cookies, and then a stroopwafel. The stroopwafels are, by the way, one of my favorite snacks to have on a plane, so that was the only flight, however, that I got stroopwafels. Everything else was just Biscoff cookies, but all in all, it was a good snack service for this flight to Denver. All of the seats, even the bulkhead ones, have the universal power outlets, noted with that green light, and there's also the adjustable headrest and the seat comfort. The seat comfort was pretty good, given that it's heavy and it does longer flights, and the headrest is pretty much the same as economy. It's black and it also has the Economy Plus branding. Let's now review the in-flight entertainment system on this United 767. This one was one of the older versions, but you can find the newer version on some other aircraft like the 777 and the 787. But the 767 had one of the older versions, but it's still nonetheless pretty smooth. It's touchscreen as well. It's not controlled by a remote. So the in-flight entertainment system overall, it had a lot of TV shows, it had a lot of movies, it had a lot of options to customize, and the moving map was also amazing. It definitely gave a lot of information on the current timing and the timing in Denver, and then the weather, and the same thing with the United app as well. So given that there's in-flight entertainment screens on this aircraft, this feature is pretty much useless on this flight, but you will find this feature extremely useful on aircraft that don't have in-flight entertainment screens, like the 757-300 or the 737 MAX 9. But you can connect to the internet through the United Airlines app, or you can type unitedwifi.com on your browser. The Wi-Fi you will have to pay for, but the prices are pretty decent. I decided not to go with the Wi-Fi because we were already in the middle of the flight, but it has the same TV shows, movies, and games. It's a good variety, in my opinion, and it also has a lot of information on weather and the aircraft. So the United app and the Wi-Fi, they're both good for flights without in-flight entertainment screens. But for this flight, it was frankly useless because of the in-flight entertainment screens.
Please fasten your...
Alright, so here's a little tour of the lavatory, which is after the wing. As you can see, it's a pretty spacious lavatory, and it also offers the amenities that you would expect in an economy class bathroom. Alright, so let's sum up this flight on UA 1515. The flight attendants were absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed talking to them, and they did their job really well. I felt like they were happy to work with United. I liked the food service, the stroop waffles. They were a nice touch to the snack service. The seat was pretty good, although it's not really worth the $101 for the upgrade. The cleanliness of the plane was also fantastic. I was pretty impressed by United and their cleaning. But if you find parts that were dirty, they'll give you a Clean Plus wipe and you can clean it up. And the flight was overall pretty smooth. I was pretty impressed with this flight. I'd give it an overall rating of about 8.5 out of 10 because it was a pretty nice flight, not much, pretty uneventful within these 2 hours. However, there are two things that I did not really like, and that was the elements of the seat, like the in-flight entertainment and the bulkhead seat pocket placement. I didn't like both of those. Those two things. Now, is Economy Plus really worth it for a 2 hour flight? Depending on how much you pay for it, the answer is no. If you would pay like $98 to $100 just like this flight was, I'd say do not upgrade, okay? You're only getting a good 3 more inches of legroom. Even the recline, the seat itself is exactly the same. But if you would, like, if you can find it for like $20 or $30, I'd say go for it because that legroom is gonna be pretty useful if you want to stretch out or sleep. But overall, for a 2 hour flight, Economy Plus is not really enticing. For a 7 hour flight, that's for sure. You can definitely use that space for a 7 or 8 hour flight, or even more than that. But for 2 hours, the upgrade really isn't too enticing.